I'm Jen Carlman with InLab News. We are here at the 2011 Demo Conference in Palm Desert, California. I'm joined by an old friend of mine, Matt Thompson. He is the GM of Developer Evangelism for Microsoft. So Matt, thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. This is great.
So let's talk a little bit, since you sort of look after some of those startup companies for Microsoft. Demo is a great stage for you guys to sort of scope out what's out there.
Very true.
So tell me a little bit about kind of what you're seeing and what Microsoft is looking for.
So I guess the thing that we think is really interesting is, so we've got this saying that money is always late. So the reason why Demo is such a great conference for us is because this is usually pre-investment, right? These guys are just coming out and being seen. By the time that the VCs and angels show up, it's late. The good ideas are already invested in, et cetera. So what we're really here doing is kind of looking at how these guys are building their solutions, what technologies they use, and are they using Microsoft technologies? Can we get them on our platform? And so from a kind of what are we seeing that's kind of cool and new? Everybody's using the cloud now. I was here 6 months ago, and everybody's kind of, what's the cloud? Do we use the cloud?
Right.
So everybody's using the cloud now, and everybody's got a mobile strategy. So for us, that's really cool because we just launched Windows Phone 7 in the fall, and so phone's huge for us right now.
Tell me about how you're sort of, we're also seeing, you mentioned the mobile aspect, but we're also seeing this huge play with the social media aspect. Just everything is social. So how is Microsoft kind of adapting to that?
Yeah, so it's a good question. One of the things that we talk about is we were just walking around talking to a bunch of startups, and the two questions: are you social? Are you mobile? Right. So social mobile. That's kind of the thing. If you're social and mobile, you're
totally cool.
You're totally cool. Absolutely right. So I think the thing that gets really interesting around social and mobile from our perspective is social is what allows you to get viral really quickly and allows you to provide interesting features in your application. But social really, underneath it, the technology is your graph, right? It's how many of your friends are you connected to. All that stuff gets stored somewhere. So for me, social equates to cloud, right? Because that's how you're actually going to use the technology. It's all stored in the cloud, and that's something that Microsoft, we want people to have huge social graphs, because then they end up consuming a huge part of the cloud. So social and mobile, great combination. We see that as very much a key part of our cloud strategy. We also, inside our own products, are adding social to everything. So you can be in any one of the products you use from Microsoft, including our phone. And I've got, like, for example, I've got in my contacts on my phone everybody I'm connected to in Facebook and Twitter and a bunch of other things as well.
Yeah, you've got it all together.
Yeah.
All right, so sometimes when I talk to these startup companies, they are so hoping for kind of that home run with a company like Microsoft. Do you sometimes find the mistake of startups that they almost get narrow focus, that they're trying to pitch to a certain person and they're losing focus of other things? What kind of advice do you give to these guys?
It's a great question. So partnering with the big guys, and I was just interviewing, actually had a fireside chat at a different conference with a serial entrepreneur who's done very well. And the way he describes it, hopefully this is not just a PG-rated audience, but he said, you got to sleep with all the big guys, right? So the notion is, you're dating them, don't marry any one of them, right? And the notion is, if you get too close to one of them, you're probably making a mistake. You need to be able to essentially play the field. And so if I was giving advice, and we see this quite often, somebody will pitch their hopes on a company like Microsoft, and Microsoft's strategy changes every year, right? So we're big on cloud, but there are other parts of the strategy that we may change or augment year to year. You'd hate to bet a whole company's future based on just that one piece. So I kind of look at this and said, look, if you're going to do some business development with Microsoft, and we've got great opportunities to work with the startups in our BizSpark and our BizSpark One kind of family of partners, you should also be talking to the other guys. Are you talking to Google? Are you talking to SAP? Because there are other, Salesforce, are there other people out there that can give you value? And as a startup, the big guys give you leverage, and that leverage is what gets you more market share.
And lastly, you mentioned coming back here last fall, and that's when we talked to you in Silicon Valley. The market's shifted just a little bit. I mean, it's only about 6 months, but what is Microsoft's focus going into 2011, and how has it kind of shifted since the last time we saw you?
Yeah, so I think it's a great question. I guess the first thing, let's talk about the kind of the investment environment that we see, because I think that's a really important one. So investment, even from 6 months ago, is heated up across the space. And I'll just share one thing that I heard from a VC friend of mine. He says, we'll know we're in a bubble when people borrow to make investments. And he claims we're not there yet. But if we talk again in 6 months, the prediction is we'll probably have entered some of that. So if you're looking at a later stage investment, we're probably looking at doing something, maybe finding out what your liquidation event's going to look like in the next 6 to 12 months, really important. So from a Microsoft perspective, we're doubling down on the cloud. We think that's the big investment. We've opened up our mobile platform, and we're seeing a lot more now in kind of the Slate area. So I mean, obviously iPad's been tremendously successful, but we've got we've got Windows 8 that will be coming out in the near future, and we're building out our entire Slate strategy where we think we've got some really interesting products.
Very exciting. Well, we look forward to seeing you in the fall.
Absolutely.
Again, Matt Thompson from Microsoft, the GM of Developer Evangelism. Matt, thanks so much. Great to see you again.
And thank you very much. Appreciate it.